I would like to ask the Minister for Policy and Reform if he will make a statement on the recently published national income data.
Will the Minister for Policy and Reform to reply?
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. The 2017-18 national income accounts showed real growth of 3.6% in GDP, which is a much more sustainable rate of economic growth and much closer to the long-run average of the island's economy compared with 2016-17. The growth came from 10 sectors, with e-gaming, insurance and other professional services contributing the most. There was also good news for parts of the island's domestic economy, with catering, entertainment and construction seeing growth as well. But it must be recognised that there are sectors which are experiencing challenges. The Department for Enterprise's executive agencies are working on business plans that will help to assist and develop business on the island, and other parts of government also need to play their part in supporting this with things like housing and education and training and all the other aspects that are mentioned as dependencies in the locate.im documents, for instance.
Supplementary question, Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Has the Minister any concerns about the size of the e-gaming sector, which now represents almost a quarter of the island's economic output and is currently experiencing turbulent times?
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I do appreciate the questioner bringing the national income accounts for 2017-18 to the fore in this way. And yeah, e-gaming sector has been a success, a massive success. It continued to grow last year for people and also for the companies involved. It's part of the diversification of the Isle of Man economy that's gone on big time for the last 10 or 15 years. But all sectors come to become mature eventually, and I guess e-gaming will be one of those sectors, if it's not already, will become that soon. So we'll need to keep our wits about us and make sure that we have new growth sectors, high growth sectors to join the e-gaming sector. So there are big changes in that sector. It's mature. Like all sectors, the effects of a few companies can be magnified because of the nature of the Isle of Man economy. And with that, I celebrate its success and concede that there are issues that need to be managed.
Supplementary question, Mr Shimmons.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I was interested to hear the Minister's remarks on the business sectors. The report also covers personal income. Would he care to comment on what that tells us for the particular year in question?
Minister to reply.
Personal income, as the Honourable Questioner probably knows, has been my favourite topic for 5 years. In fact, it was me who first asked the question back in 2014 that got the figures first published for personal income by sector, also breaking it down between public and private sector. And the reason I did that was because it's absolutely paramount that our growth has to be valuable for people. It has to be useful growth, because people pay tax and people need to have lifestyles that they're satisfied with in our sort of democracy. So the focus on personal income from 5 years ago has made sure that we've been growing our personal income, because it wasn't growing until 5 years ago. I think the gist of the Honourable Member's question is there was a small decline this last year in the total of personal income, although not in most sectors, and we need to take that into account, because personal income has to be a focus for the island. The second point that the Honourable Questioner might be alluding to is that corporate income is a much greater proportion of our national income than it is in neighbouring islands. And that's also something that we have to bear in mind, given that we are an island of substance with a business sector of substance and a government policy that encourages that substance.
Supplementary question, Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. The Minister has identified the mature nature of e-gaming. Are we effectively trying to expand the nature and the growth of this sector? And which sector of the economy does he believe show greatest opportunity to generate essential future growth?
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. The job of national income statistics is to record what happened in the economy a year and a half ago. It's called a leading indicator. It's what's called a lagging indicator. Consequently, I'd leave it for the Minister for Enterprise and his staff to take questions about individual components of the Digital Agency Business Plan, or the Visit Agency Business Plan, or the Business Agency Business Plan, or the Finance Agency Business Plan. And I'm sure they would welcome specific questions about what are the target sectors and the growth sectors in coming weeks. It's a very good question, it's a very important question, but national income is presented neutrally by independent statisticians to help us record from tax data what the Isle of Man economy looks like.
Supplementary question, Mr. Shimmons.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. Just a couple of quick questions about the decline in personal income, which is outlined in the survey. First of all, what does that income decline trend tell us about productivity on the island, which is a key economic measure for all nations? And secondly, what does it tell us about our population if the personal income as a whole is declining?
Minister to reply.
I don't think there's a direct, there'll be a positive correlation with population, but I think there's also correlations with the level of earnings and the sort of sectors that have grown and all of that sort of stuff. So I haven't actually haven't asked for correlation estimate to be calculated. As we know from the best estimate of population, the population was growing in the year 17-18, but not by very much. We know these. I will circulate to all members the personal income by sectors, and I think personal income by sectors will depend will be the largest domination. In terms of productivity, I'm not sure that you can get too much about most economics estimates of productivity from that one figure alone, but I'm very pleased to continue the discussions with Mr. Shimmons about that. Productivity is an often a misused term, and I'm pleased to take forward discussions about that.